Hello, my name is Otto. It's my real name, not a nickname or shortened from something more proper. I always hate it when I read a story or listen to a story online and the narrator says something like, my friend, let's call him Steve, did this, etc., etc. If you want to protect his identity, just make a fake name. Don't call attention to the fact that you're making a name up for someone that we have never known, and most likely will never know. Just a little gripe to start my story. I'll get into who I am and why I'm writing this right now. As mentioned before, my name is Otto. Last name doesn't matter. I live in the Midwest. I'm 40-something, white, have black curly hair, wear big glasses due to poor eyesight, wear the same type of clothing every day, jeans and a denim shirt, and I'm a serial killer. Last time I checked the FBI's definition of a serial killer, they state that any individual who's killed more than 4 people matches that designation. Just to be clear with you all, my total is much more than 4. I'm not bragging. I guess the whole reason I'm doing this is to explain my actions to the public, to anyone that wants to know. I'll most likely post this to some blog site if that's still a thing. Maybe even Facebook, but I'll have to make an account. I have to explain to you why I do this, mostly because my victims ask. They always ask. Why? 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 Usually I have no real emotion when killing. But the more I do, the more I feel like these people deserve an answer. How else can I get this information to the masses? Should I do a "Hi, I'm a serial killer" AMA on Reddit? Actually, when I type that out, it looks like a pretty good idea. No one has done it as far as I know, but I'm not looking for that direct attention. Most people think us serial killers are dying to be caught, which may be true in certain cases, but I think we just want the attention without the prison time, or electric chair, depending on where you get charged. Especially if you've killed a lot, and the police just can't put the evidence together. Imagine how bad the Zodiac Killer felt, all that work and all those intricate kills for no fanfare or celebrity. No appreciation for breaking the most sacred of commandments and getting away with it. I can tell you, I wasn't born like this. I had a decent upbringing. I won't go too much into it, it's not very interesting. I can also tell you that I was always interested in darker things. I loved weapons, I loved scary movies, I loved reading about serial and mass murderers in the school library. I did have some motherly issues, so I suppose that may be one of the only typical issues a male serial killer has. Yes, I did kill my mother, like Norman Bates. Spoiler alert, I guess. Sorry. We will get into that shortly. So all childhood and early reminiscing aside, let's skip to my early college years. This is the real start of my devious ways. I have had absolutely no run-ins with Johnny Law, not so much as a littering ticket. I was in fact going to study criminal justice and law. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for work exactly, but as I said earlier, I had a major interest in killers. Well-known killers. Not just your run-of-the-mill street gang drug war killers. Those deaths don't matter. You're selling whatever drug for whatever money, and another tough guy wants to either rip you off or take your area to sell their whatever drug. And deaths ensue. Makes no sense, and there is no emotion behind it. The guys I read about as kids, Dahmer, Gacy, Bundy, Charles Whitman, they had a plan. They killed for a real reason. I wanted to figure those guys out. Before taking a person's life was in my mind, I wanted to always try to figure out what a murderer's mindset was. At about 20, in my second year of college, I attended the gym of the Midwest, Central Michigan University. Maybe one of the only schools in the nation on an actual Native American reservation. the mighty, mighty Chippewas. We loved the culture, and I think the Chippewa tribe loved having us. I was still researching serial killers and reading books on the subject. The internet had become very accessible also, so that opened up an entire wealth of information. I started reading John Douglas' book, Mindhunter, and Googled anything related to the somewhat new FBI profiler arena. Anyone reading this now should be familiar with the Netflix series, which I also enjoyed. My current major and minor program had a career day going on in the cafeteria of my dorm, which was convenient. There were reps from maybe 15, 20 departments, all kinds of sociology and psychology workers. I made my way to the criminal justice liaison. She rattled off some bullshit credentials. I really didn't care. She asked what I wanted to do, and I said what I've been passionate for quite a while. I wanted to be in the FBI, and be a profiler at that. Her next sentence, her next 4 words, would most likely seal my fate. "Oh, that'll never happen," she said. I must have looked like I got a flashbang grenade dropped on my face. There could have been 1,000 responses I could have heard. That one I was not prepared for. I can't really remember what I did next. I just know I left. I was massively disappointed. I didn't plan it at all that one time, but I'll tell you, the murder wheels were turning. I did not kill my first victim until 20 years later. It was really a slow burn for me. I'm not the killing type, or I wasn't. I didn't think people deserved to die like a Dexter archetype. My story changes pretty drastically compared to my contemporaries. To give you an updated context, I graduated with a sociology degree, which is basically worthless in today's world. I went from job to job with no real desire. Either I got let go or I quit. I now work at a major grocery store chain, at the gas station part of it. My life is brutal, but I don't feel angry. None of my kills are in anger. I want to get something that I don't have. That is fulfillment. Fulfillment is so underrated. We all know very well-off people that hate their life. We know celebrities and normal people in your everyday life that have whatever they desire but just aren't satisfied. Fulfillment is important. I found my fulfillment. My first kill wasn't awkward or painful, at least not to me. After college, I moved back to the condo my mom and I grew up in. As mentioned before, I went through quite a few odd jobs, always trying to find something I liked. I had one particular job that made me wake up at an ungodly hour of 4 a.m. Sunday through Thursday. Before I got this job, our little part of the condo had been dealing with a rather awful rat problem. Someone keeps feeding the vermin with peanuts. I'm sure under the guise of feeding birds. Our entire complex had been warned over and over. I saw this guy throwing out a few shells here and there. My mom reported him. He supposedly got a reprimand. But then the second day I woke up for work at 3:30 a.m., I saw him outside in the blackest of nights, throwing peanut shells to the birds. This guy wakes up early to throw food out that attracts these plague-carrying animals. I just didn't get it. Something changed inside my head and in my soul that early morning. I was going to kill him. For something that petty. We all have to follow the rules, pal, and now you're going to pay the price. I didn't do much research on this guy. I knew he lived by himself just by watching his house and car in the parking lot for a few days. No one else ever went into his house but him. To make things better, he didn't even lock his doors. I simply went into his home. Most people don't lock their doors, I found, especially when they just leave to go shopping for an hour. Take this tip from a killer: just lock your doors. If it's locked, I'll move on. After a couple weeks, I waited for this rat-feeding offender in his laundry room. He loaded what would be his last basket of socks and underwear into the washer before I plunged a claw knife into the side of his neck. He struggled briefly, and then dropped to the floor. I didn't anticipate all the blood spraying everywhere. Rookie mistake, I know. At that moment, I knew this was my life. I felt like I had finally found a purpose. I was getting fulfilled. I could go to work at my meaningless job, ringing up people for their $20 gas fill-ups and their Reese's Pieces. I knew that when I went home, I was an ender of lives. Dramatic, but now my new purpose. I would now kill for no reason, or at least reasons that made sense to me. I didn't want to fit a serial killer purpose. I didn't know these people, and they didn't know me. This would be my last kill based on any emotion. I don't want to be caught. I only want to bump my numbers up. I'd put ads in Craigslist for nannies. I'd make fake items to sell. I'd go on the back pages and ask for lewd sex act requests. The recipients would be unwilling victims. I graduate to making a kill room in my basement. I left no DNA evidence behind. That woman that shattered my hopes of being an FBI profiler would fuel my new profession. Little did she know she stoked the flames of one of the most notorious serial killers of the 21st century. If anyone has gone mysteriously missing, maybe take another look at where they lived, or what they did. Some people need that fulfillment to keep going. I can't be traced to some cookie-cutter serial killer blueprint. I've killed over a dozen people for really no reason. I have no attachments to these people. I said earlier that I killed my mother. She was actually my stepmother. I loved her very much and she loved me. I axed her to death like I was having tea with the Queen of England. She laid in a tub of lye in our basement for 3 days until her body completely dissolved. And then I went to work. Fulfilled. Hi, it's me, Otto. It's your friendly neighborhood serial killer, is what I would say if I was a complete cliche machine. Although I did just start with that, so I can't take it back now. My mini manifesto, my story of fulfillment that I dropped across several sites on the internet, was very well received. If you're new here, let me do a short recap. My name is Otto. I'm a 40-something-year-old man living an ordinary life working as a gas station grocery store clerk. And I'm a serial killer. I explained in my first writing as to why I do what I do. Looking back at it, it came off as overly simple, but there really isn't too much more to it. Killing fulfills me in a way that nothing else can. Consider this follow-up a chance for me to bring you all up to speed on what I've been up to. If this gets enough attention, well, this might just be a little series for me. I truly appreciate the fascination that you all have. It's not always easy to do what I do. This makes it a little more sweet. Actually, at this moment, I have one of my random victims in the kill room. I've gotten a bit more dramatic over the last few kills, going as far as to pull off an elaborate heist from the pharmacy at my grocery store. I don't need to say what drugs I grabbed. You can probably Google anything that makes you groggy to comatose, and I'm sure I have it. Anyway, random victim down there should still be out for another 15 or so minutes. Perfect amount of time for blogging about the last few months of a serial killer's life. It's been about 3 months since I explained my need to kill, my need for fulfillment. Hopefully some of you have found that amazing satisfaction. I have to reiterate that unlike most well-known serial killers, I do not want to be caught. Yes, I do love the attention, but I'm not unintentionally or subconsciously trying to get caught for my horrendous crimes. I have made mistakes that could have potentially ruined my life. Without going too much into detail, I will tell you that I traveled out of state I live in for a kill. It was a Facebook market post. I still can't believe the person really thought that anyone would drive more than 100 miles for a little kid's outdoor playhouse. But I suppose that you want to get rid of those big toys as soon as you can, especially with a supposed interested buyer. I don't have children, of course, so I have never had to buy or sell children's things. Yes, if you're putting 2 and 2 together, I killed someone with kids. I told you, I have no steadfast rules except to not fit any patterns. I met the person in the parking lot at some random strip mall where the most popular store was called going out of business. When the mark came out of their vehicle, I simply plunged a knife right into their belly button. I was a little brazen with this one. I really didn't think this all the way through. The point is, I do make mistakes, but surely not intentionally, so I can double or triple life in prison. Panicking, I just got back in my rented vehicle and sped all the way back home. The local police, of course, found the body, and a little write-up asking for any information was put out in their area and across the internet. Now, normally, I don't leave my victims out in the open. Most of them are reported missing. Some have no one to miss them. So remember earlier when I said that I am digging the attention lately? Well, it appears that I have been given a name. I got my own serial killer name. They call me the Midwest Ghost Killer. Kind of lame, actually, but I'll take what I can. Apparently some rather smart detectives linked up around the areas where some of my Vics have been reported missing. And they think there are some patterns linking one person to the disappearances, thank God. They are right, of course, but there's no way I have left any kind of pattern. Everything I have done has been random, even haphazard in some ways. The ghost killer comes, I guess, from the fact that I, or the killer, has been operating like a true ghost. The guy, or girl, comes in like a specter, takes human life, and disappears like a murderous Casper. Since they believe there may be 5 to 6 murders linked to one person, the FBI has gotten involved. Looks like I finally made the big time. It only took over 20 murders to get there. I bet some John Douglas type special agent is mind hunting me right now, writing up his own little profile on how I act and when I will strike next. Good luck to you, Mr. FBI agent man. I'm pulling for you, but you have absolutely no idea where to start. Let's dive into the mind of Otto for a quick second. Let me just check on the Vic downstairs. Okay, we're good. I upped the sedative to give me about 20 more minutes. Probably not good for anyone to be on that high of a dose, but they're going to die either way. Usually my kill room is so much better. I would never make the mistakes of killing in broad daylight again. Where was I? Oh yes, diving into my brain. I was saying that whatever criminal profiler they have on the job has an impossible task ahead of them. There is no pattern to these killings. They believe I am responsible for, and on top of that, I don't fit any of their typical serial killer traits. As I stated before, I had a fine childhood, had no real motherly issues, had no desire to kill animals, and have no history of any devious behavior. Pair that with the way I have offed people, and they are behind the mighty 8-ball. Listing some of the ways I've snuffed out life is more random than the lottery numbers that come out every night. I'll get to the obvious ones out of the way first. Guns, of course. I found that this just isn't satisfying to me, and I'm not the gun type anyway. It's loud, too. Even in the basement. Next, knives. Now we're talking. Nothing more intimate than sliding a piece of steel into someone's neck, or heart, or anywhere, really. Using some type of rope to choke the victim is fine, but it's more work than you may believe. It's not like the movies where it looks like after 2 seconds the person passes out. Plus, I'm not necessarily in great shape, so I can't risk this one as much. Blunt force I've used a time or two. I'm a big baseball fan, so I'll just put it like that. I'll spare you the rest and sum it all up. There is no pattern here. The FBI doesn't have a BTK-like model to follow, where every single victim was clearly linked to one killer. Sorry this post is so short, but I have work to do. My fulfillment has dipped to unacceptable levels. Worry not, dear reader, it'll be fixed in no time. So where do we go from here? Maybe detail the next kill from inception to completion? Maybe I should really do that I'm a serial killer AMA on Reddit. Maybe you can drop a comment down below and give me suggestions. Wherever you come across this, I'll be dropping these on several blog and social media sites. I've gotten a little more savvy about the internet since my first post. It's kind of fun, I hate to say. As long as I stick to the plan, don't go outside of my comfort zone and clean up my messes, I should be back with you all soon. Does anyone remember the 1989 movie Point Break? My favorite law enforcement agency, the FBI, against a group of bank robbing surfers. The bank robbers were successful because they stuck to the plan, grabbed all the cash they could from the registers, and they never went into the vault. Well, not to spoil a movie that's over 30 years old, but Body went into the vault. And of course, it was his undoing. That won't happen to me. I've said 100 times in this post alone. I will not develop a pattern. I will stick to the plans in my head and be methodical. I hope this makes people understand how at least one person in this crazy world can take a life. I feel like the one thing people deserve, beside fulfillment, is an explanation. Maybe I'll start tonight and explain why I'm doing this to Bill downstairs. His name's not Bill. I don't know what it is, honestly, but Bill is going to be made aware why he is meeting this awful fate. Thank you in advance for giving me purpose, and I'll see you all in the promised land. Until next time, your favorite killer, Otto. Hey guys, Alex here again. Find something interesting to share here. I came across a real obscure blog post about a self-proclaimed serial killer named Otto. I've tried to find the site I initially saw it on, but I've had no success. I hope I'm not imagining this. I don't know. Maybe I've finally lost it, looking into too many dark corners of the internet. I thought it was a troll at first, but the more I read, the more real it seemed. We've all read and loved traditional scary stories and creepypastas. They mostly have the feel of fiction. This guy describes his journey of murder like he's reading off the contents of a cereal box. It is systematic and cold. I would like to call on everyone in the true crime subreddit to scour the internet and try to find this man, Otto. Hopefully it's just another story, but I'm telling you, if you find this man's story, please tell me that it does not sound like this guy is for real. Alex closed his laptop, took his glasses off, and rubbed his temples. I mean, there's no way this was a true story. I'll check again in a few hours and probably just put this supposed serial killer guy to bed. I should have bookmarked that site I found it on. At the time, it didn't seem like something that was going to stay with me. Just another story about a normal guy that happens to kill people. A Dexter, but without the whole moral code part. I've been looking for interesting stories about mayhem, ghosts, and evil to share on a handful of communities, mostly on Reddit. True crime has never been hotter right now, with a new special on serial killers on one of the streaming services being put out every day. If this is real, I could have jumped on something that is happening in real time. Reminds me of being a kid during the DC sniper hysteria. Everyone in the capital city was terrified. People were walking in zigzags to avoid the next deadly sniper shot. It was a wild, scary time. Am I living during another one right now? Hey guys, Alex here. I found it. Well, I found another one. A different post from the one I was describing to you all last time. And I saved it. 4chan of all places. I was scrolling their paranormal site and happened on Otto, describing how it killed someone while falsely promising them a child's playpen or something. I don't know how 4chan works really. I don't think I can link the story here, but I'll try. Please, anyone, tell me this is fake. Alex reaches for his phone, seeing the little alien symbol that Reddit uses pop up. A notification that maybe someone has replied to my post, I hope. The reply was exactly what I wanted. Simply a link to the Toledo Blade, Toledo, Ohio's local newspaper. Headline: Man killed in broad daylight. My jaw hit the ground. After reading and rereading this story out of Toledo, the stars aligned. I bet every planet lined up and Zeus himself was visible from the naked eye. The medical examiner stated that the deceased, who was found at approximately 7 o'clock on winter night, was already dead for about 5 hours. One of Otto's posts detailed this event. You ever have one of those world-shattering realizations where everything and nothing makes sense? I was not crazy. I've been on the hunt for a real-world serial killer. Now I need more information. Now I need to catch him. Yeah, I'm going to find Otto. Okay, so I was imbibing a little too much when I read that article. Do not fear, true crime community. I am not going to try to catch a serial killer. Not yet. I've been scouring every deep, dark space I can try to find anything else on this guy. So far, I only know he's for sure that he's posted to 4chan. If you can all help me, you will always be in my debt. I've set Google alerts for Otto, and I'm constantly refreshing 4chan. Gold! It's Alex again. I found another short post from our friendly neighborhood serial killer. He even linked a short news story from an FBI agent. Apparently, the FBI thinks there may be 5 or 6 murders that have been conducted by the same person, Otto, and are asking for help. They don't know him as Otto, but I think it's our guy. This is freaking wild. They call him the Midwest Ghost Killer. I think that's one of the worst names ever. Certainly no Night Stalker or BTK, but at least it gives us a huge revelation. He may indeed be in the Midwest area. Is there anyone from the Midwest that knows of any of these murders that Otto may have done? Nothing yet. I have a space in my basement that's empty. I guess I could turn it into a little guest bedroom, but just haven't gotten to it yet. I probably won't for a while, as it is now my ghost killer research room. If you know the meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, with Charlie in front of the yarn board, well, then you get it. Being a West Coast man, I had to research what types of grocery stores are more prevalent in the Midwest. Otto is not shy about being a grocery store or gas station clerk. For no real reason, I just don't think he works at a national chain like Walmart or Target. When you use terms like grocery store, it infers you are speaking of the more local spot. If he worked at Walmart, he would probably refer to it as more of a supermarket or just a retail store. Just trying to use some logic with this guy. So anyway, that leads us with some notable Midwest grocery stores. Another quick Google search came up with dozens of stores. Truthfully, I didn't know the Midwest was so big. I thought the Midwest meant just states like Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, and a couple other neighboring states. Turns out the Midwest, as defined by the federal government, comprises the states of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. Seems to me that states like Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin would be considered more northern or Mideast. But okay, let's see what the most common grocery store in the Midwest is. I came up with the top 3. Meijer, Spartan, Kroger. Piggly Wiggly is barely holding on, but I can't bring myself to believe that a serial killer operates out of Piggly Wiggly. And they do not have a gas station attached to them. Also, Ralph's out there is owned by Kroger. Weird. I'm still stuck on the grocery store term. From what I gathered, speaking to my forum friends in True Crime Reddit, Meijer is more of a retail store than produce offered. Spartan Stores is more of a discount place. I know Costco also has gas stations, but I don't think that's a grocery store either. That leaves Kroger. Kroger is headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, where one of Otto's only somewhat proven kill happened. Not Cincy, but Toledo, mind you. He also said he traveled across state lines to execute this one. He said he traveled roughly 100 miles from his home, too far from states like Illinois, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, where Kroger doesn't even exist. I believe now that Otto is from the Great Lakes state. 2 weeks later, and I have nothing to do with this information. 3, 4 weeks later, and the quest for Otto has started to fade away, like the morning dew from the grass or the darkness from dawn. I'm trying to be poetic. I guess to give an ending to this story that's graceful and not depressing. I tried, friends. I tried. YouTube notification user T. Krebs commented on a video I posted weeks ago explaining my search for the Midwest Ghost Killer. I think I found your guy on here. The story was called Fulfillment. I was going to take a F-16 to the rabbit hole. I read Fulfillment, completely shocked at what I was seeing. Otto is real. I went back and forth on whether to leave a comment, risking my username of being tracked, thinking that somehow he could track me by one simple YouTube reply. Sounds stupid, I know, but this guy supposedly killed his mother. What would he do to me if he could? I decided to go for it, replying with a simple, "What's next for you, Otto?" I nervously closed my laptop, cautiously putting it on my nightstand, and laid awake for the next several hours. Just as my eyes finally brought me to dreamland, I heard my phone yet again go off. Well, that was a really fun one as well. Always curious. Wanted to see more of what Otto has going on. Thank you for all that follow me. Thank you for all that stick around this small group and watch us grow little by little. I know I've somewhat committed to, say, putting out an upload a week, 2 uploads a week. If I can do that, I certainly will. But as it stands now, my schedule has increased at work and at home, and I'm going to do all I can to record as many videos as I can on my days off. So when I sit down here, I'll have a bunch to share with you guys and girls, and hopefully each story can be just as good, if not better than the last. But if you're not that kind of patient person and you need uploads or you need content every single day, I right now definitely cannot say that I'll be able to do that. But this is a passion of mine, and I'm going to stick to it. And if you stick around, hopefully we all can be rewarded. Thank you all for listening to my stories, and it motivates me to keep going. Motivates me to keep working on it. So until then, until I see you again, until next time, this has been Hero's Edge.